Coming up, I'm going to share 5 signs that you know you are close to getting promoted. And then, who is that sitting in on the interview with Gen Z? Oh my, it's mom and dad? Helping you win at work so that you can live the life that you want to live. I'm Ken. This is the Ken Coleman Show. All right, let's get right to it. 5 simple signs that would give you a pretty good clue that you've got a shot, that you might be being primed for promotion. And then I'm gonna roll through these very quickly, the 5. And then I'm going to break down, we'll go back through them. I'm going to explain to you what you can do to maybe create this sign, right? Because I don't think that getting promoted is a passive deal. In other words, I don't think just coming in and doing your job really well is a guarantee for promotion. I'm going to challenge the conventional wisdom. I think it makes sense, but I don't think it's just that. In fact, I could show you a lot of people who do a very good job. Very good job. They're not quiet quitters. They're doing a very good job at the job they've been asked to do, but they're not getting promoted. So let's go through the 5 signs and then how you can create the environment to where these signs appear. Got it? Good. Here we go. Number 1 sign that you might be set up for a promotion. The company is paying for you to get some additional training. Sending you to a conference, putting you through a course. They are prepping you, and it is not because you are a disaster and it's the last-ditch effort to fix you. No, they see potential in you, and they are investing in you. Number 2 sign that you might be set up for a promotion. You are selected for a custom assignment. In other words, there's a project or an initiative or a shift in the company, and this is above and beyond. This is outside your normal duties, and it's very clear, it's very obvious that you've been handpicked for your skill, and they need you to sign up. This is special. It's special, and you know it and everybody else knows. Number 3, leaders begin asking for your input on a regular basis. Number 4, the boss starts talking to you about your long-term vision, your goal as a professional. Where do you want to be one day? And number 5, you start getting praise from multiple leaders. All right? So those are the 5 signs. Run through them real quick. The company's paying for you to get some additional training, some upskilling. 2, you're selected for a custom assignment. 3, leaders are asking for your input on a more regular basis. 4, the boss starts talking to you about your long-term vision as a professional. And then 5, you're getting praise from other leaders. All right, so those are the 5 signs. Now, what can you do about it? Can you do something to create the 5 signs? I think the answer is yes. Let's go to number 1. Company's paying for training. What can you do? Ask for it. I mean, this is an old biblical truth. You have not because you ask not. And I think that it is very rare in the corporate workplace, small business, medium-sized business, big business, where an employee would show up to the boss and go, hey, listen, I'd like to add this specific tool to my tool belt, right? I'd like to get this skill. And I did some research and I found this online course, or there's a conference here or whatever. And hey, it's not a demand. It's not an entitled ask. It's if it's ever an opportunity for the company to pay for that, I really think that could help me help the company. Is that something you guys would be interested in? If not, no worries. I think I'm going to go get the training. See, you bring up the conversation. You show yourself as a person who wants to get better. That's attractive. All right, 2nd sign that you might be set up for a promotion. You've been selected for a custom assignment. How do you move this on? Volunteer. Volunteer. Raise your hand. You see something moving, you see some conversations happening around maybe a problem area in the company, and you get wind of it, and you think you can add some value, raise your hand. Say, hey, I'd be willing to step in and try to be a part of a special task force, or I'd be willing to roll up my sleeves, get my hands dirty to help this out. I think here's how I could help. Volunteer. Volunteer. Your volunteerism, raising your hand to say, I'm willing to help out if you think there's value. How many times have you ever broken off the end of a coffee or a lunch and you're saying goodbye and you've had a great conversation and you look at that person and you go, hey, listen, if there's any way I can ever help you, let me know. I do that all the time. I do it all the time. When people do it to me, I appreciate it. This is the idea. It is making yourself likable by saying, I'm willing to add value in any way I can. Just let me know. It's not a pitch. It's a prompt. All that is a prompt. Maybe it pops in their mind later. So that's how we get there. Number 3, sign that you might be promoted. Leaders start asking for input. How do I drive this one, Ken? What can I do to make this sign appear? Very simple. Ask good questions. Just ask good questions. And Alex, you know this is true. You know my background. You know me from way back in the day before I did any of this stuff. I will tell you that the single biggest factor that led to me getting into this role that I'm in, and that was built on, by the way, doing really good interviews with really, really smart people. And Alex, you know my background way back in the Catalyst days. It's because I went to the guys that led Catalyst and I said, I just read a Fast Company article about this thing called podcasting. And I think Catalyst needs to have a podcast where we interview leaders from all walks of life, not just the church space. And they looked at me and they said, how does that work? I said, apparently a couple of microphones and a recording device. And you upload it online through Apple, I guess, and people can listen to it on their iPod because that's what we did back then. That's how long ago it was. Do you see what's happening here? Do you see what's going on? I asked good questions, and because I asked good questions, people started paying attention to me. As an interviewer, I asked good questions. I stood out. That's the whole point I'm making. But you know what I didn't plan to say? I went in and I asked a question. Hey, if I was willing to, this is combining number 2 and 3, Alex. Hey, if I was willing to host a podcast, I'll do it for free. Is that something you guys would want to do? So the idea here is if I want to get to a place where people want my input, I want leaders saying, Ken, what do you think? You know what I need to do? I need to ask really good questions in a meeting. Because then they start to go, well, that was a thoughtful question. That was a thoughtful question. There's some depth behind that question. I'm going to answer your question, Ken, but what do you think? And I'm just sitting here as Exhibit A. That I eventually became a best-selling author. I eventually got a chance to have my own show with my own voice simply because I sat and I asked questions of others. Number 4, sign you might be set up for promotion. The boss starts asking about your long-term goals. What can you do to drive this sign and drive this activity? Ask for a growth plan. Don't ask for a promotion. Don't ask for a raise. Ask for a growth plan. Hey, where do you think I could get better? By the way, this ties into number 1. Remember the ask for training? Don't ask for training until you ask for a growth plan. Figure out where the boss sees you. Where do they think you could get better? Ding, 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 ding. There's a sign. Maybe I could get some training there. So this is the idea. Ask for a growth plan. Hey, what can I do to get better so that I can have more on my plate? That's a really good question to ask. And then finally, number 5, sign that you might be getting promoted, getting praise from your leaders. How do you drive this one? How do you make this sign appear? Be visible with leaders. Now, please don't turn this into butt kissing. This drives me nuts. Don't be a buzzard who's hovering around, on the side of the road and the leader comes walking by and, squawking around, making a big scene. No, don't do that. I'm saying make it a point to be visible, to say hi to leaders. You see a key leader in the company, ask them a question when you get in the elevator with them. Don't kiss their butt. Ask them a question. Smash all of these things together. You want to get praise from leaders? Be visible. Send updates. Hey, we turned this around last week. I'm just sending you a quick email update. Be visible. Don't just do your thing, come in and out. Be visible with your leaders. You want to be getting praise from people? Show your work. You don't have to butt kiss to do that. Just go, hey, you tasked us with this. Here's what we did. Here's how we did it. Thank you for allowing us the resources and the leeway to do it. That's visibility. Be visible. You wanted to get a date with a certain girl or guy? What did you do? You got visible. You didn't go up to somebody and just ask them out. They've never seen you before in a day in your life. At least I didn't. Be visible. So, the reason I just went through that little exercise, there were 5 action points to essentially create an environment where the 5 signs appear. Take control of your future. Don't be reactive. Be proactive. That's the whole point of this. Create your own signs. Let's get it. Hey folks, I want to tell you about Aiden. He started at Bethel Tech 2 weeks after graduating high school, and less than a year later, he's 19 and working as a full-stack software developer. He loved the idea of being able to work at his own pace, but what he really thought was cool is Bethel Tech's faith-based learning environment and being with classmates who had a similar worldview. Now, if this is you, or if you have a son or a daughter that's looking for the next step out of high school and they may be tech-minded, at least interested, you need to talk to Bethel Tech. Listen to this. Fortune Magazine named them as a top 10 best UX UI bootcamp for 2024. And right now, they're offering you 10% off because you listen and watch the Ken Coleman Show. They also allow you to pay cash, and I know you'll like that. Go to BethelTech.net/Ken Coleman for details. Terms and conditions apply. All right, folks, I'm going to tell you something. The number one ingredient to winning professionally so that you are making the money you want to make and living the life you want to live is self-awareness. Self-awareness. If you do not know who you are, you will not be able to grow who you are. Your lid on your growth as a person and as a professional is awareness. The more self-aware you are, the greater the opportunity for growth. You remove the lid. The less self-aware you are, the tighter the lid is tightened on your growth. It's that simple, folks. And so I've created a tool. It's wildly popular. It's called the Get Clear Assessment. We wrote a short book to go with it called Find the Work You're Wired to Do. The assessment gives you the clarity on who you are. And the book helps you with figuring out what you want to do and where you can do it. This is what everybody's longing for, who's stuck, confused. It's awareness. The assessment takes about 18 to 20 minutes. Going to measure 3 things: what you're good at, what you love to do, and what results motivate you. Bingo. When it comes to self-awareness, you can get it at RamseySolutions.com/store, RamseySolutions.com/store, or KenColeman.com in the store there as well. All right. There is a new trend that has been growing, and this is definitely a troublesome trend. CNBC article in my hands. Headline: Who's sitting in on that Gen Z job interview? It's mom and dad. Now, I'm going to tell you something. Full disclosure. as I was preparing for today's show, I said to myself, do not get angry. Because my initial emotion, I'm not kidding, is to just rant and just be angry. And I don't think it's very attractive. So I'm going to shift my emotion from anger, Alex, to sadness. Because sadness is a little more palatable when we talk about things like this. I am sad that moms and dads have so tucked away their own judgment that they would even do this stuff. This is unbelievable. Here's the data. 1 in 4 Gen Zers have brought a parent to a job interview over the past year. That's 25%, I think, as I recall. Another 25% have had their parents submit job applications on their behalf. Another 13% of Gen Zers admit to having their parents complete their human resource screening calls. Good Lord, why don't we just keep feeding these people with their bottles? Bring the bottles back out. Let's go back to formula. Hey, while we're at it, let's go get baby food. It's a lot cheaper. It sounds absurd. I know, but is it? Is it? Is it absurd? Is it more absurd to feed your 22-year-old from a bottle than it is to go to a job interview with them? I don't think it is. Is it absurd to feed your 22-year-old with the little spoon and the carrots? Here you go, buddy. And we put a bib on them, and they got a little tray with those little starfish snacks that we feed them. One of those things. I forgot what they're called. Goldfish. What is it? My point is, yeah, okay, I know some of you are going, Ken, no, I don't think it's any more absurd. I am going to tell you today that if you are a Gen Z parent and you go with them to the job interview, you might as well start feeding them baby food with a little cute plastic spoon. It's the same thing. It is. Because what we are doing as parents by feeding these kids with a little plastic spoon is we are babying them. We are doing for them what they cannot do for themselves. You give a can of baby food to a little kid, what do? They're going to stick their fingers in it and probably lick their fingers. Maybe they pick it up and throw it at you. They don't know what to do with it. You gotta spoon feed them. You have to. They can't handle it. Well, apparently we've got 22, 23-year-olds who can't handle the job interview by themselves. So here we go. Bubble wrap parents. They've bubble wrapped their kids their whole life, and they realize they've bubble wrapped them. And they realize the kid is on the verge of a meltdown the night before the interview. And the parent is sitting there and they're going, oh, crap. We did this. Junior is a emotional baby. Sweetheart Princess is an intellectual baby. We've raised emotional and intellectual babies, and it's our fault. Oh, crap. I really love them, but I really want them out of the house. They need a job. What are we going to do, sweetheart? There's only one thing we can do. We got to go to the job interview with them. We got to spoon feed them. That's all we've ever done. They can't emotionally and intellectually grab the spoon. And so the parents take their judgment, Bob, and they put it in the drawer because they feel they have to. I don't think anybody's ever broken it down like this, but I'm going to tell you folks, what I just laid out is the truth. And this is what is happening in this article. We have emotional and intellectual babies in the form of 22 and 23-year-olds with a college degree. I made my fun. Now let me give you some facts. This is unbelievable. I'm trying to get the stress out. Here we go. 70% of respondents sought their parents' assistance during the job search. I have no problem with assistance. But 1/3 said it was because they didn't know how to effectively communicate with hiring managers. They don't know how to talk. Because all they know how to do is use their thumbs. I could get away with this today, Alex, because my boys don't watch my show. I walk into my house on a routine basis, Nathan. And this is what I see. I go, what was that? I just snapped a friend of mine. You snapped him. You just did a goofy cow eating briars grin. That was all that was. It's literally this. I'm watching football next to my boy 37 times during a game. I said, you just shot that picture 12 minutes ago. It's the same picture. It was in the first quarter. Now we're in the second quarter. This is what's going on. That's how they communicate. We parents haven't sat them down early in their life and said, sit down and have an adult conversation with somebody. Okay, here we go. Keep on going. How am I doing? Am I getting angry? I'm still staying sad? Okay, I'm sad. Here we go. Paul Wolf, former chief human resource officer for the job site Indeed, says this in the article. Parents have to realize that they need to let their kids fly on their own in a job interview. The young person is the one we're interested in hiring, not the parent. This is a direct quote from a very smart, accomplished guy. This is where, folks, the apocalypse is coming. The apocalypse is on the way when we have people saying things like this and it's treated. And by the way, I'm not judging him. He's just saying common sense. But we've got articles out here designed to help parents realize, hey, mom and dad, we want to hire your kid, not you. So leave. In this article, and I'm going to wrap this up, there are HR people quoted as saying that they have asked parents to kindly wait in the waiting room or in the lobby because the parents expected to walk into the interview. How awkward must it be to look at mom and dad and go, we're going to take a few minutes with Jimmy if you wouldn't mind waiting out there in the reception area. So this is a troubling trend. We have bubble wrap parents. That's what I'm calling them. That's what they do well. They've sucked at parenting, but boy, oh boy, can they bubble wrap a kid like nobody's business. Ay, ay, ay. If you're a parent of someone young, teach them how to communicate with adults. Welcome back to the Ken Coleman Show, here to help you win in your work. Let's get to a coaching session. Colton joins us in Jackson, Michigan. Colton, how can I help today?
Hey, Ken. Thanks for taking my call. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet. What's up?
All right. So last year I graduated from high school and went to flight school, got my first license, and decided that it wasn't a great experience. So I came back working to pay off my loan now and really just trying to figure out where to go from there. And so I bought your Find the Work You're Wired to Do and took the Get Clear assessment.
Great.
And it's pretty, the results are very accurate. And I'm just still struggling to figure out where kind of the pieces fit together in possible career outlooks.
Okay. So here's what we want to do. If you're reading the Find the Work You're Wired to Do book, it walks you through the process now that we have your assessment results. And we want to start with, who are the people you want to help? The problem or desire that those people have, and then the solutions to that problem or desire that you get excited about. Have you gotten that far in the book? No.
I've got a couple ideas of
Yeah.
people who I want to help, but just I guess figuring out how to help them has been my struggle and something that I would enjoy doing.
but the answer is in the people and the problem. So tell me the people and the problem.
Well, so I've got a couple ideas for like the people and the problem. One of them would be people with financial struggles, and then another idea would be people with career struggles, and that kind of just fits for me where I'm at. Like finances and career are the two big things that I stress out about, and so if I can find my career in helping people, solve that area of their life, I think that'd be pretty fulfilling.
Yeah. What were the results? What was the missional result? This is the third wire. Wire number 1, what you do really well. Wire number 2, what you enjoy doing. And wire number 3 is what are you motivated by? What results get you fired up? I'm curious what your result was.
So do you want just my mission?
Just the mission right now.
My mission was service.
Mm-hmm.
But
okay.
When I was reading through all of them, I also felt really kind of drawn and connected to influence as well.
Well, and so do you have your results in front of you?
No, not right now.
Okay. When you get a chance, go back to your results and see if influence was above average, because we also give
It was in the top 3.
Okay, good. So that tells me this is about people. You want to deliver or produce service and influence. In other words, you want to serve people in the act or for the reason of transformation in their life.
Yeah.
Okay. So what were your top 3 talents, the things you do best?
So my top 3 talents were justice, persuasion, and logic.
Justice, persuasion, and logic. Okay, so the justice means you have a high right and wrong meter. You just that's a gift that you have. You see right and wrong, very black and white. Persuasion, you obviously get that, the ability to get people to change their mind, get people to act on something. And then the logic piece is very analytical. You can think through things. You process situations and things very easily. So what were your top 3 passions of the work that you enjoy?
My top 3 passions were leading, researching, and advocating.
Yeah, interesting.
Which the advocating I thought was a little interesting. That's the only one that I thought there may be something that fit better there. But there is little pieces of it that I do definitely identify with.
If you just read the general description of that, sometimes words, when you're trying to pick a word like this, it's interpreted very differently. So the idea, if you look at the description of the advocate, it probably does hit you, right?
Right.
Because it's a form of advocating doesn't always mean defending. Advocating could be proclaiming. That's another word, right? And I think that's definitely you, because the advocating lines up with the justice and the persuasion.
Right.
You're advocating for a process. You're advocating for the Dave Ramsey baby steps. You're advocating for, you follow me?
Yeah. Yep.
And so that's the idea. And it's about waving people off the side of the road. Hey, there's danger ahead. Pull over, right?
Yeah.
Does that feel right?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Yeah. So, I would be careful. I'd be very careful about the helping people with career advice until you walk through this journey on your own and see if you can help yourself with my assistance, because I think that presents as a big need right now for you. But and the same thing with money. It's like, be careful that you don't, because you go, well, I really like this medicine right now. Just be careful and look to your purpose statement and go, all right, when I play this out, and I look at leading, which is about influencing. I got to read my own writing here. What was the second passion? Leading? I can't read my own writing. Researching. Yeah, that was the one that jumped out to me. The researching piece and the logic piece connect really well.
Yep.
And the advocate, and it's like, okay, you've got to be a guy who's digging into resources, solutions, driving maybe a cause or a resource, a product or service, I think you've got to have a big learning component to what you're doing. Because if you aren't learning, you aren't going to be happy. And now you've got to be learning to then be advocating. So the advocating must be connected to the learning piece. That's what the researching is.
I see.
And so where it stands right now is the rubber meets the road with this question. If you were going to start something tomorrow, a new path, and you knew you couldn't fail, forget about job title, forget about how you get there, because I think you actually know what you want to do. I think you're just hung up on how do I get there? How do I do all these things? I'm going to give you something on that in just a minute. But the question is, what would you do if you removed all your fear and you removed all of the what ifs and the hows and all that kind of stuff? What would you try tomorrow?
I mean, the biggest thing that jumps out to me is being like a financial advisor. And I guess the thing that keeps me back is that, like, what if it doesn't go good? Then I'm just
Let's say I told you to stop that. I told you to stop that. I said, what would you do if you didn't have to worry about all the stuff in your head? And you said financial advisor. You said it very quickly.
Yeah.
There's a real big why behind that, isn't there?
Yeah.
And by the way, let's just see, does a financial advisor fit your purpose statement? Does it allow you to use your talents of justice, persuasion, and logic? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Does it allow you to do the work of leading people on a path, researching, and then advocating? Does it allow you to do those things? Yeah. And then does it, again, fall into the category of it allows me to produce results that are service-oriented? You better believe it does.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason that I created the assessment was for self-awareness, to create ideas for your future, but also to confirm the ideas that you have. And I think you need to stop thinking and start doing. So there's four questions. What do I need to learn? That's what education or training do I need to be a financial advisor? What experience am I going to need to get to be successful? That's pretty obvious. Get in, work for somebody who's crushing it, work your way up the ladder, maybe spin off and do your own thing. So that's the experience issue. What is it going to cost me? That's easily found out. It's not even going to be that much for you. And then, how long is it going to take me to get where I ultimately want to be? You are suffering from the unknown, and the fear of the unknown is the greatest fear because it paralyzes us and stops us dead in our tracks.
Mm-hmm.
You go answer those four questions. What do I need to learn? What do I need to do? How much will it cost? How long will it take? And my friend, you got a plan staring you right in the face.
Sounds great.
All right, my man. I appreciate you calling. You got this thing. Folks, that's the deal. I think most people know what they want to do. They just don't know how to get there. This is The Ken Coleman Show.
Thanks for listening to The Ken Coleman Show. For more, you can find the show on demand wherever you listen to podcasts and watch the show on YouTube. You can also find Ken across all social media by following @Ken Coleman.